Hello and a very warm welcome to you to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the venue for the Italian Grand Prix and also for rounds 19 and 20 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship 2007. The last race weekend in Europe before 6 weeks as they head off to Macau and the season finale. And a very warm welcome to you to the beautiful and historic Royal Park in Monza and the track that has been Italy's cathedral of speed for more than 50 years. The Autodromo Nazionale, 5.8 kilometers of high-speed slipstreaming history. And as autumn begins to arrive here in the north of Italy, just half an hour north of the industrial and fashion heartland that is Milan, you can see that after yesterday evening's heavy thunderstorms, it is warm, dry, sunny, and there's a blessed relief from the muggy humidity that's been oppressive over the last couple of days of practice and qualifying. Now we get down to the business of the Lotteria di Monza. That was the traditional name for particularly the Formula 3 and Formula 2 races that were held here over the years, and it's going to be exactly that this weekend. First winners, those who got to the scratch cards best, Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet and Gabriele Tarquini. They locked out the top 3 places in qualifying, all 3 in diesel engine Seat Leons. Behind them, Nicola Larini and Alain Menu in their Chevrolets. The best of BMWs, Augusto Farfus and Felix Portiero. James Thompson slightly disappointed with only 8th place, didn't get a good enough aerodynamic tow in qualifying to really give the Alfa Romeo a shot at pole, which he believes it could have justified if the cars were running in, for instance, a super pole situation on their own. He firmly believes that the Alfa Romeo is the quickest thing in a straight line, but without a buddy to tow from, and he didn't get the greatest of tows from, unfortunately, from his teammate Olivier Tielemans, he was really left a little bit high and dry. And that's very much the same story as well for Andy Priaulx, the reigning world champion, who will start this race in 13th position after not having made the most of the aerodynamic slipstreaming effect that is so crucial to qualifying here. After the first set of tyres, Priaulx was 7th quickest. Thereafter, didn't manage to get his toes hooked up and ended up down outside the top dozen. But he is the championship leader with a 12-point advantage after Brands Hatch over his closest rival. However, he is at maximum success ballast weight, so too is Augusto Farfus, his rival, so too Ivan Muller right up there as well at the top of the weight scales. But Ivan Muller is the man who has qualified on pole position and has given himself a very good shot indeed at winning this opening race in Monza. And if he can score and Priaulx doesn't, that will bring the Frenchman's gap to the leader from 14 points that it is currently down to 4, with 1 race remaining in Monza before we head off to Macau. So Muller feeling very happy indeed here. Well, Jacques Bayard, the head of KSO that organises the championship, introduced a new facet for 2008 to the calendar this weekend. He said the big news for next season is that we will head to Asia twice. Macau will again be the closing race of the season, and for the first time the World Touring Car Championship goes to Japan, which with 120 million people is obviously a huge audience. It's the equivalent of Italy and France put together, and touring cars have a rich heritage in Japan, which we feel will very well suit the World Touring Car Championship. So that's going to be very interesting as well, and hopefully the organisers, I'm sure, will be hoping that a race in Japan might further encourage the Japanese manufacturers, who all seem to be looking at the World Championship with a degree of interest. None yet confirmed for 2008, unfortunately, but it's a long winter. Who knows what might come? And an adventure. Well, the track here at Monza is in absolutely perfect condition. After yesterday's heavy rain, it might take a little bit of rubbering up, but the leaves and everything have been brushed away, and this morning's damp patches from the morning warm-up at 9 o'clock have all gone. It is warm and sunny. Jörg Müller there doing a good job in qualifying to tow his mate Augusto Farfus around. He has brought him, or helped him, jump from 21st, where he was before they took their final set of tyres, up into 6th position. And because Augusto is the better place of the two drivers, Jörg did the sacrificing, towed him for 2 laps, and then they swapped positions. By the time Jörg got his fast lap behind Augusto, though, the tyres were just a little past their best, and so he ended up in 10th place, from which, no question, he must have designs on starting on the front row of race 2, finishing therefore inside the top 8 and claiming points for race 1, but also a front line or possibly even second line grid position for the second race, because as ever the finishing order for race 1 is how they will start race 2, with the exception of the top 8 drivers whose positions will be reversed, i.e. the winner of race 1 will start in 8th place for race 2, and the 8th place driver in race 2 will start on pole for race 1. So 8th place is not only where the championship points finish, but it gives you a great shot at winning race 2, and that might be a big target for James Thompson as well. He starts here in 8th. Tomo believes that the Alfa Romeo is the car that could win both races, and that would give him the most phenomenal boost in the championship. If he can come away here with an extra 10 points to add to the 57 he's got already, then 5th position in the championship may well be elevated a little higher up the order and give him a chance of maybe even winning the championship in Macau, which would be a big first for Alfa Romeo. They haven't won a European or World Championship. They've never won a World Championship, but haven't won a European title for over 5 years. So it would be a big return with what is now a very elderly car in terms of race development. Here's Felix Portiero out of the championship hunt, but will still undoubtedly play a major part. Remember Brands Hatch, where he was leading from Andy Priaulx in the second race and moved aside without too much difficulty to allow Priaulx to go by, take the lead and take the victory. Well, again, as far as BMW drivers are concerned, Portiero is going to be an invisible part of any point scoring setup, because if they arrive behind him, he will let them by without question. Augusto Farfus is our best placed BMW driver in terms of championship points, and indeed on the grid. He lines up in 6th place. Now, the rolling start will do him no favours, do nobody any particular favours in terms of who gets away well from the grid as a standing start. The BMW has a distinct advantage being rear-wheel driven over the front-wheel drive cars, but on a rolling start it's every man for himself, and bearing in mind how far away from the first corner they are even as they cross the start-finish line, this rolling start is going to be a question of survival for most of them, and there might be an awful lot of well-laid plans go very rapidly west as they get down to the Primo Variante for the first time. Alain Menu here, lying in 5th position in the on the grid, and 6th in the championship. Top 9 drivers in the points still have a mathematical chance of winning it. So Rob Huff in 9th has to win all 4 races remaining in the championship, with essentially nobody else ahead of him scoring any points at all. But the maths say that it is theoretically possible, and so even though he's the least likely of the Chevrolet drivers to be a title contender, even Rob Huff is still a title contender. But from 16th on the grid here, you feel that race 1 will finally see him drop out of the cut-off zone, out of championship contention. Well, the man that Chevrolet have highest in the standings for some while has been Nicola Larini. But look at the wins column. 0 so far this season. 3 second places, 1 third place, no poles, no wins. And last time out, didn't finish the first race in Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch was not a great race weekend for him. And so Larini with Menu now are the two-string attack really for Chevrolet. They have to look at those 2 guys as being their prime concern, their real priority. But what about Seat? Well, Gabriele Sarquini 7th place. Possibility he might, if everything goes freakishly wrong for everybody else, end up being a world champion, but you have to say it's very unrealistic to expect that, and Gabriele himself would certainly say that he is the least likely or the less likely of the SEAT driver who have still got a mathematical chance. Jordi Jannet does not now have a mathematical chance. No matter if he wins all 4 races, he still won't get close enough. That'll only give him 72 points, and Andy Priaulx already has 81, the championship leader, so that wouldn't get him even remotely close enough. So Jannet now fully in a supporting role, and you have to say that Jannet and Tarquini and Yvan Muller here, our pole sitter, really worked sensationally well yesterday. Not only were all 3 SEATs working very well with each other, but they were very fortunate. They never got anybody else latching onto the tail of them to take a tow from the fast guy at the back. They never got anybody interrupting their flow. There was always 3 TDIs solidly together, working for each other, and in the end, Frenchman Yvan Muller ended up on top of the pile. He was the man who benefited from being at the back of the queue when the cars and the track were at their fastest, and he ended up on pole position, the first FIA pole position for a diesel engine car. And it is a big moment for Yvan Muller. He lies in 3rd in the championship, 14 points away from the leader, and with a very good chance of winning the first race here at Monza. So the cars sweep around the Curva Grande. The first long, fast right-hander after the brutal right-left of the Primo Variante, the chicane that breaks up what was once, as you can quite clearly see, a long sweeping run past the pits and round Curva Grande. Then, as they come around this very quick corner, they'll be picking up the slipstream in racing from the cars in front of them, down into the braking area for the Ravazza. Now, this is a very fast approach, like the first chicane, to this second chicane. And again, this is introduced after the 70s to slow the cars down before they got to the Lesmos, because again, the old track went straight through here into the first of the 2 Lesmo corners. For those of you that are not familiar with Monza, that double right-hand sequence named after the nearest village on the outside of the circuit, which is Lesmo. Then they head down under the bridge that goes under the old bank circuit at Monza, heading towards the Variante Ascari, named after the legendary Alberto Ascari. Sweeping under the trees in the Royal Park at Monza, below the historic banking that saw racing from the 1930s until almost the 1960s, and a fearsome place it was as well. Certainly not for the faint-hearted. It's hard to imagine auto unions and the like at speed around the banking, but that's exactly what those brave men did in the bank circuit of Monza's heyday. Still, the Grand Prix track here runs through the Royal Park of Monza, historic national park, and still it is the jewel of Italy's motor racing. The Autodromo Nazionale, the national racetrack here in Monza. We're with world champion Andy Priaulx, who will start 13th on today's grid, and now right behind the Seat Leon diesel triumvirate, on board with Nicola Larini, who lines up in 4th place for round 19 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship 2007. There is our poleman Yvan Muller, getting ready to control the field for this rolling start, the first of 9 scheduled laps. He allows the safety car to go away. The red windscreen strip, Jordi Jannet. Behind him, the green strip, Gabriele Tarquini. Those are the guys that will try to protect Muller from the hordes behind him. It's going to be a long wait. They cross the finish line very early, but the start line is a lot further away. The red lights will stay on, stay on, stay on as we get ready for the start of the race, and that's a good early start. Now then, the Seats have got to get away very quickly. Yvan Muller is on the left of your picture. James Thompson very far left. So too was Rob Huff trying to come up up the order. He's made a very quick start in the Chevrolet, but it's all about Muller and the two Seat diesels behind him. Tarquini and Genet have got to get safely through the Primo Variante, and they do. Genet tucks in front of Tarquini, past the rest of the field go. Tom Coronel over the curbs and the spinner. Okay, 3-4 cars there. That is Andy Prio backwards. Alex Zanardi is there, Roberto Colciago as well, and there's somebody, Thiago Montero, going very slowly there around Curva Grande. So too is Jörg Muller. That's Jörg Muller in trouble. Andy Prio was in trouble as well. He got spun out. So Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet, Gabriele Tarquini, then Larini. What's happened to Menu? He's down in 7th place. That is Thompson going past Augusto Farfus. Now Thompson has won as many races here as anybody else. He's won twice for Alfa Romeo. Farfus has as well. Larini has as well. The only other driver in the field to have won twice is Jörg Muller. He's won twice for BMW. There is the Hexagon Engineering car of Pierre-Yves Courtals, and behind him Rob Huff coming. Is that, or was that Alemanu? No, it was Huff coming up the order. But a great start from James Thompson. Look at the weaving though from Ivan Muller. Has he got dirt on the tyres? Nicola Larini towing up behind Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini's going to have to defend or stick right on the bumper of Genet, so there's nowhere for Larini to get back in, but that's just looking for an accident to happen at Ascari. Larini is determined to take the bit between his teeth. Only once in 5 years now has he won a race here at Monza. That was for Alfa Romeo. Can he win here again? Well, that would be a phenomenal result for him. It would be his first win of the season as well. What a place for an Italian to win his first race of the year. But let's not count our chickens. Muller, Genet, Tarquini, then the blue car is Larini, then Thompson in 5th place. Now Thompson needs to get a good toe on the straight. He's perfectly placed to get a good toe off Larini, but he's got Farfus behind, which will slow the Alfa down a little bit. Then further back, we've got Menu, Portero, Stefano D'Aste, Luca Rangoni, Oscar Nogues, who came well up the order from the start. Menu in 7th, Portero in 8th, looking now to see what has happened to Jörg Muller. He is in 15th place, and Andy Prio has not come through. He has not come across the line yet. Now, while you're watching them go through the chicane, I'm trying to just flick over the timing screen. Alemanu with Felix Porchero all over the back of him. That's for 7th and 8th. So the top 8 are as one group, and Prio, 26th, has not come across the line. Porchero has not come across the line. Colciago has not come across the line. And Stefano D'Aste is out of the race. Colciago has come across the line, but there is no Andy Prio. No Prio so far. Now, I haven't seen whether he's gone into the pits or not, and look at that, the car crabbing very badly, shown in the replay there, and he needs to get into the pits then, get the car fixed and somehow get onto the back of the grid. But it looks as though any points now are going to be requiring a superhuman effort from Andy Prio. Menu and Porchero still battling for 7th place. Augusto Farfus just in front of them as Porchero runs out very wide indeed. And look, Thompson did get a good toe off Larini. He's right behind Nicola. Now Nicola knows that he's in trouble. He raced this Alfa long enough to know what a rocket sledge it is in terms of low drag performance. The Alfa Romeo has got an exceptionally low drag body. We ride on board there with Gabriele Tarquini, the 3rd of the Seats. Here, what a different Basso Profundo engine note they've got. And still Ivan Muller leads. Thompson having a look now. He pulls out, can't get by Larini. He hasn't got enough revs there. Is he going to try and feint Larini down into the inside? Well, it's going to be a brave man who comes in from that far behind into the Parabolica. 0.6 apart at the line there is nothing in it now, but the trouble for Thompson is that Farfus is just about close enough to get a good toe off the two of them now, or off this entire queue. And again, like small capacity motorcycle racing, the guy at the back can often leapfrog his way up the order. Can Thompson make the move now? Larini is towing right up behind Tarquini. Tarquini moves across to counter. Larini goes even further. He can't go through. He's just about controlled it under braking. Good effort by Nicola Larini. Stalwart defence again by Tarquini. Jordi Genet talking last night about qualifying, saying when they went out at the beginning in qualifying and he was at the front of the train, he was the engine driver, there were 7 Seats in a row. Now there's the RBM crew desperately trying to remount Andy Prio's axle. Thiago Montero, left front damage. I'm not going to put 2 and 2 together. I don't think those two were involved in the same incident, but they were both involved in incidents that have broken suspension and or steering. In Montero's case, clearly not in Prio's, no rear wheel steering intentionally on that car. And Ivan Muller still not able to escape. Genet and Tarquini right with him. They desperately don't want to slow the pace any to allow Ivan Muller to go, because then they will be falling prey to Nicola Larini and to James Thompson. So Muller has got to make it work all on his own. Now, has he got brand new tyres on? Has he got scrub tyres on? Is he finding the car a little of a handful for the first couple of laps until the new tyres really come in? It looks as though that might be the way it's been, because he was only 0.275 of a second ahead after the first 2 laps. But here on lap 3, it looks as though he might open up as much maybe as a second advantage over Jordi Genet in second place. And maybe, just maybe, Genet will be feathering the throttle a fraction. Meanwhile, look further back for Thompson. Look also as Menu is now right up behind Farfus and sweeps around even as Thompson goes by Nicola Larini. Menu goes up 1, Larini goes down 1. So now we should see the 2 Chevrolets close together. Farfus comes back. Menu went too early. Now then, they're wheel to wheel, so no toe. That's going to be an interesting drag race. Larini behind Thompson. Clearly Genet not going to try and pass Ivan Muller. Stefano D'Aste is the yellow car in front. Thompson defending hard on the inside. Larini got a good run at him. He got a good toe, but he was stuck with the outside line and couldn't find a way through. Now, can Menu shake off Farfus to move further up the order? Close on his teammate Nicola Larini. That won't be a position change, of course, but in the end, if he has the speed to go by Larini, then he too is a championship contender, and he may well just have to do exactly that. Through the Ravazza they sweep. Ivan Muller doing just about enough. Well, I was speculating that he might have had getting on for a second advantage at the end of that lap, but it wasn't. It was only 0.36 up from 0.27, so it's just a few hundredths here or there. Now, Alain Menu is the best placed of the Chevrolet drivers in the championship at the moment. He's in 6th position, and he's got 55 points compared to the 48 of Nicola Larini. If Menu closes up on the back of Larini, as he seems likely to do, then he's going to feel really that Larini is going to have to try and make his life easy to get by. Looking back, there's the view from Thompson's rear-facing camera of the man we've just been talking about, Nicola Larini. If I beg your pardon, that's looking back from Menu at Farfus. Very hard to tell. I'm sure that's right. I'm not sure it was right. Let's have a look at the start. What are we seeing here? Contact there between Thompson and somebody. I'm guessing that might have been Menu, who didn't get away very well. And Prio right in the middle of the shot. Oh, it was Colciago coming across the curbs that went into Andy Prio's left rear wheel. And that was Prio's view of it being turned around, and Prio's car badly wrecked there by Colciago, who's trying to make up for a 10-spot grid penalty. Try and let you know what's going on as further back. They get around Stefano D'Aste, but only just. D'Aste should have slowed down on the straight to let the lead group go through. That was really not very good driving, I'm afraid, by Stefano. Delayed or not, he wasn't going to gain any friends by being in the way. And it's broken the gap as well between Larini and Menu. That's bad news for Alain Menu as they go on to lap 6. He's got very little time left to try and catch and pass Nicola Larini. Larini having a run at Thompson. I think Thompson has got the measure of this down to the Roggia. Not the Ravazza, Martin. Nicola Larini from James Thompson's bumper cam. That was the view we had before. Larini much closer this time. Thompson not quite on the tail of Tarquini anymore. The 3 TDI Seat Leons with their turbo diesel engines just starting to eke out an advantage as Thompson has had to fight Larini for the last lap. Now, with a clean sweep of the qualifying, Seat must have been hoping for a clean sweep of the podium, but with all those fired up drivers behind, it was a little bit too much to predict, but it looks as though that might yet be the case. Menu now might be a little safer because Farfus is towing around Stefano D'Aste. D'Aste dropped in behind the Brazilian, and that will actually be slowing Farfus down compared to the pace he could do on his own, or even by picking up a little bit of a tow from Alain Menu. So Menu has a chance now to close on his teammate Nicola Larini, but that's a bit of a big ask. They were 0.7 of a second apart on the last lap. Here comes Tom Coronel, slipping inside Luca Rangoni, and right behind Coronel now is the battle for the Independence Trophy. Rangoni leads the race for the Independence. Right behind him is Pierre-Yves Courtals. They are 3 points separated in the standings. Courtals is going with Coronel. What a great move by Pierre-Yves Courtals as Porchero tries move around the outside of Oscar Nogues. Nogues a one-off drive here for winning the Spanish Seat Supercopa. Rob Huff gets in front though. Good move by Huffy. Took 2 places there. He's gone from 10th to 8th. And Rangoni. They're going past Thiago Monteiro. Pierre-Yves Courtals lost out in a big way there. Courtals now with trouble from behind. That's Freddie Ekblom. He's in the second RBM Team UK BMW. Lead trio still as one. Muller, Genet, Tarquini as they qualified. Well, Rangoni just couldn't make it around, and luckily for him, Coronel got back in front, so he didn't actually pick up a place, and so should not get a penalty for that, I think. So you can see the gaps on the screen. Menu is pulling away from Farfus, and for Farfus at the moment it's damage limitation. He's in 7th place. That'll put him on the front row of the grid for race 2. That gives him perfect shot at winning the race. At the moment, Oscar Nogues in the Seat is in 8th place. He'll start on pole. If he gets past, it'll be by Felix Porchero. Doesn't matter because he's not going to threaten Augusto Farfus. If Huff gets by them, then that might be a problem, but Farfus should be able to outstart Huff's Chevrolet. So it's all looking very strong for race 2 for Augusto Farfus at the moment. He's just got to keep himself out of trouble. Coming towards the end of lap 7 of 9 here, and still Muller, Genet, Tarquini, 0.4 between the 3 of them, and then Thompson right on the back of that group. He's 0.5 off Tarquini at the end of the last lap. It'll be down to 0.4, maybe even down to close to 0.3, and he's getting a good tow along the straight. He'll close right up on Gabrielli's bumper again as they get down into the braking area, and Tarquini of course knows the danger. He's staying right over on the racing line, trying to make sure that Thompson doesn't get the full draft from all 3 cars, but Thompson is. He's closing right up behind them. He's now within a car length of Tarquini's back bumper, and with him too comes Nicola Larini. It is not done yet for the Seat. It is not all over. There are 2 interlopers behind their little trio who could easily pose a threat. So lap 7 of 9. 6 laps completed, 3 remain. And still the Seats are 1, 2 and 3 as Thompson defends against Larini. The rumble of the rumble strips and the thunder of the diesel engines as they go past compared to the high octane rev of the normally aspirated engines of the Chevrolet and the Alfa Romeo behind these 3 turbo diesel Seats. Well, everybody was questioning whether Seat could keep the pace up, whether their brakes would last, whether they would wear the tyres a little bit too much. In today's temperature, tyre wear probably not the issue for them. Possibly brake wear, but then they're not having to battle with anybody. They can use the racing line, and even though Jordi Genet and Gabriele Tarquini's cars are maybe a little understeery compared to running in fresh air, they can do enough just to hang on in behind Ivan Muller. And what a time in the championship for Seat to really come on strong with these TDI cars towards the end of the year. This is looking very good indeed for them in terms of the results. Now Thompson, where's Larini? He's just a little further back. Thompson's going to have a look down the inside of Gabriele Tarquini, former rivals and very good friends off the track. Thompson gets a very good run, but he's running right out wide. He's going to have to just feather the gas a little. Tarquini's nailed it all the way through. Thompson is going to be wheel to wheel with him. Now let's see who's got the low drag car, who gets the best tow. Look at Genet. Genet's moved over right to try and not only defend the inside against Thompson, but give a tow to Tarquini, but it's not working. Thompson's low drag Alpha is just starting to ease alongside, but Tarquini's on the inside. Can he outbrake Thompson? Will he be able to hang on to 3rd place? Yes, just. Tomo did not not have enough of an overlap to put himself at risk on the outside. But Tarquini compromised on the exit. Thompson's coming alongside. Larini right behind Thompson. These two cars will go quicker around Curve Grande than Tarquini's on its own, but the diesel's got very good get up and go off the corner. Now Thompson's on the outside and Curve Grande gives him the inside for the chicane. Larini's trying to split the difference. He wants to take both of them. This might turn yet into a result for Thompson and Larini. Tarquini gets pushed off the podium. Thompson goes through. Can he hold it on the exit? Yes, he can. Larini goes through. He can hold it too, and Menu closing up from behind. So no Seat podium sweep for Tarquini, being pushed down by 2 places there into 5th position. Farfus still 7th, Huff 8th, Coronel 9th, 10th is Rangoni. There is Coronel with Rangoni towing along behind him to get away from Courtals, who is 2.5 seconds behind. Pierre-Yves Courtals cannot close up. Rangoni will take Independence victory, and with it, he will close to within 1 point of Pierre-Yves Courtals in the Independence Trophy. It's going to be ultra close, and the final race here at Monza will see who goes to Macau as the standings leader. Meanwhile, there is Rob Huff. Stefano Dasti behind him is a lap behind. Huffy in 8th place at the moment. So pole position for the Brit for race 2 as they stand at the moment, and that's not bad from 16th place. Good start from Rob Huff, we saw that, and he managed to avoid the carnage behind him. Andy Prio very much did not, and Huff, beg your pardon, Menu slips inside Tarquini. Suddenly Tarquini is looking like a bit of a lame duck, I'm afraid. Well, Andy Prio has not managed to leave the garage yet, so Prio is going to be in real trouble if they can fix the car for the second race. He's still going to be right at the very back of the grid from a standing start. Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet, James Thompson ahead of Nicola Larini, and Alain Menu battling with Gabriele Tarquini. Menu manages to keep his nose in front as they head on to the last lap. Now then, here's the trouble. Nicola Larini is right behind James Thompson, has a shot at a podium, but the best placed Chevrolet driver is Alain Menu. There is really no chance that the team are going to be able to suggest to Nicola Larini to slow down and let Menu go through for 4th place. It would be better points for Menu, but Larini's got a battle on his hands with Thompson. He's trying to squeeze down the inside of the Brit. Thompson's going across the chicane. Will he survive? Well, Larini had a go, and Thompson has to jump the curbs to survive. As a result, he closes right onto the back of Jordi Genet, but I think probably to any observer he was forced into that just to avoid spinning across the nose of Nicola Larini. Larini had a last lap stab into the chicane. It didn't work for him, but now what can Thompson do? Can he take second on board with Nicola? Diving into the inside, there was almost a full gap. He didn't have anything like an overlap. He had to make it round. Thompson got squeezed. Little further back with Tarquini over the same curbs, a little neater and tidier behind Alain Menu. Can Thompson take second? No, it seems he can't. Somehow, Muller and Genet have snapped away from him through the Lesmos and down to the Variante Ascari, and now Genet pulls out side by side to make the car twice as wide effectively as it was before, down into the Parabolica for the final time. If Thompson can't pass here, he won't pass before the line. It's going to be a 1-2 for Seat, or is it? Thompson's got a very good run coming through the Parabolica, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Ivan Muller is going to win for Seat. Jordi Genet is going to take second for Seat. The checkered flag flutters. It's 3rd for Thompson, 4th for Larini, 5th for Menu, 6th place Tarquini, 7th Augusto Farfus, and 8th place will be Rob Huff. Just behind Tom Coronel? No, just ahead of Tom Coronel. Coronel 9th, 10th Rangoni, the Independence winner, Ekblom 11th, 12th Nogues, 13th Zanardi, 14th Courtals, 15th Jourdain. So Courtals getting pushed down on the final lap, 3 places away from Rangoni. He should have started 11th behind him. He'll now start 14th place on the race 2 grid. That's a big blow for Courtals. Still second in the Independence points in the race, but a big blow for him. But that's a great result. Very well played team tactics by the Seat team. Look at the vibration though through Ivan Muller's steering wheel. Now, if he's been having to deal with that all race long, he'll have white fingertips. Well done, Ivan. If he's had that vibration all the way through the race, my goodness, that was well controlled. Maybe he's just picked up some rubber on the slowing down lap to help with the weight of the car, and he's picked up a big lump and it's put the wheels out of balance. But if he'd lost a balance weight somewhere on a curve and it's been like that all the way through, then that won't have felt at all good. But what a result for him. Yvan Muller now 4 points off the championship lead held by Andy Priaulx when they started this race. But Priaulx, who went into the pits after a first race collision through no making of his own, is out of the scoring. Wow, breathless stuff. And 9 very nervy laps, I think, for the Seat drivers. Yvan Muller, Jordi Genet and Gabriele Tarquini, and until 2 laps from home, they kept it absolutely perfectly. Tarquini, in the end, was the man in trouble. And is that Muller's car conking out on the slowing down lap? Well, we saw it vibrating. Surely not. Yes, I think so. You can hear the engine running. Now, has he lost a drive shaft? They had problems with that early in the development of the car, and I believe that might have been the reason that he didn't finish the races in Anderstorp, and it looks as though now he's going to have to cadge a lift back to the podium, so that should make the podium ceremony just a little longer than strictly we had anticipated. Jordi Genet, second place, James Thompson in third, and of course if there was anybody still circulating they could slow down and let him sit on the passenger floor, but everybody passed him, waving gaily, presumably assuming that he was slowing down to wave to the crowd or some such. In they come then, James Thompson, third place, good reward for some well taken chances, well made opportunities by Tomo in the Alfa Romeo. Yvan Muller on the radio, you can see him pressing the radio button back to the pits. Oui, it is cassé, how you say, please, send me the dépannage, I cannot move. So, Jordi Genet, apologies to anybody French who's listening. Jordi Genet comes into the Parc Fermé. Can't quite make out what he's saying, but you can see quite clearly he's still attached by the little curly cable, the radio headset. Just having to bail out the car really, because it's very hot work inside those cars. We have a third place man, we have a second place man, and James Thompson being encouraged to drive onto the red carpet. So with any luck we can get a quick word with him, maybe with Jordi Genet as well, because we are obviously going to have to wait a while for Yvan Muller. He will come in on the end of a rope or on a flatbed truck, not sure which. Now hopefully that's nothing too major, because in terms of the championship, if they only have their brief car fixing period between the races, then they might have to perform a drive shaft change in the sort of time that they really would like to be just changing tyres and doing a bit of polishing. You saw Jordi Genet there being congratulated by Seat's head of engineering. And Yvan buckling himself back in again, I think, ready for a tow. If you think, well, he's going to be towed in, why does he need to be buckled in? Remember Porto, Rahal Frey's car being towed in the Formula Master race and then rolled somehow by the guys that were towing it? Doesn't bear thinking about, does it? So good job by Jordi Genet. He talked about the pressure of leading the 7-car Seat train round in qualifying. Real pressure there as well to be the rear gunner for their champion hope, their championship hope, Yvan Muller. So right, let's do a little bit of, well, I was going to say mental arithmetic, but out loud arithmetic it's going to have to be. Andy Priaulx, the champion, 0 points, stays on 81. Augusto Farfus, 69 plus, I'll do it the other way around. Yvan Muller gets 10, so he goes from 67 to 77 points. Jordi Genet gets 8, so he goes from 32 to 40. Thompson gets 6, so he goes from 57 to 63. Stop me if I'm getting this wrong. 5 for Larini gives him 53. Let's get down to the pits though and hear from Jaime Puig.
Jaime Puig, first of all, congratulations. What happened to Yvan Muller? We're missing him here.
I mean, I think they told me that he had got a puncture and that the tire is destroyed, so we are waiting him here. He has already crossed the line, so it's not a problem.
But a 1-2 for your TDI cars, you must be delighted.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are progressing and we are very delighted. The first one was only 1, now it's 2. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, I've done the maths. So a puncture, that's where the vibration was from then. Our championship leader is Andy Priaulx on 81 points. Second in the standings is Ivan Muller on 77 points. Third in the standings, Augusto Farfus on 71 points. Fourth, still Jörg Muller on 66 points. Fifth, still Thompson, fifth now, still Thompson, 63 points. Sixth position, still Menu, 59 points ahead of Tarquini on 54 and Larini on 53. So Menu, still the best placed Chevrolet driver. Thompson still ahead of him, Jörg Muller still fourth, but the big change has been the top three basically pivoted around Farfus, Priaulx, no they didn't, I beg your pardon, Ivan Muller went ahead of Farfus, but Priaulx still stays top of the pile after race 1. Now, assuming it is only a puncture for Ivan Muller and not a drive shaft, then that's fine, that can be fixed, no problem, he'll start race 2. Look, you see, I only had to wait a few minutes, so as I said, Priaulx still with an advantage of 4 points, much as we anticipated, but the big problem for Priaulx is that this looks very likely to be a 0-0 weekend, because not having completed a racing lap, realistically, of the first race, he will start right on the back of the grid. In fact, to give you exactly where he will start 25th of 26 cars, I think, if the car is repairable. So Priaulx for the moment has a 4-point championship lead, but it looks very likely that he will not go to the Macau as the series leader in 2007. Race weekend. Well, it's an odd way for a race winner to head back to the pits, isn't it? Ivan Muller on the flatbed lorry, and possibly the slowest half a lap this Seat Leon has done of the track all weekend, because it's certainly slower than the formation lap for the beginning of the race, or any of the warm-up laps we've seen them do. But then, hey, it's got a flat tyre and he's on the back of a truck, so what can you do? Just to confirm, Ivan Muller then claiming the 10 points for victory. Race 1, round 19 of the series here. And with it, he closes to within 4 points of championship leader Andy Priaulx, who was knocked off in the first corner, broken rear suspension, and that has seen him in the pits for the rest of the race. He didn't score in race 1 and will start so far back he's unlikely to score in race 2. There's the onboard footage of the incident. It's going to be a disastrous weekend, I feel, for Priaulx and for Jörg Muller, his BMW counterpart. But a good weekend for Ivan Muller so far. Good too for James Thompson. Looking for big things from him. And Menu and Larini as well. The chasing Chevrolet drivers, along with Gabriele Tarquini in the Seat, they have all scored strongly. But the race 1 winner and the big point scorer was Ivan Muller. 1-2 for Seat. Well, no donuts then from the recovery truck. Sort of surprised about that. I imagine there might be a bizarre way that Ivan Muller has come in after winning a race, but I can't think what it might be. Traditionally, of course, winning Trophy Andros ice races, he'd spend the entire lap with the door open, held open with his foot, waving to people on full opposite lock around the track on the ice. But Jaime Puig there rushing him through to get onto the podium and then through into the post-race interviews. So no chance, I'm afraid, for us to catch up with him, because the adoring public await his appearance on the podium. You can see the red overalls there of James Thompson already out there, third place man. And Jordi Genet will be coming onto the podium as well. So too Luca Rangoni, the diminutive Italian. He's claimed 10th place overall, but also those vital 10 points for the Independence Trophy winner. And that Yokohama Independence Trophy battle, as I said, only 3 points in it at the beginning of this race, and it is now just down to a 1-point margin for Pierre-Yves Courtals. There's Rangoni. Thompson and Genet also offering their congratulations to our race winner here. James Thompson's third place, keeping the dream alive for Alfa Romeo, still in the championship hunt with this Alfa Romeo 156 that they were racing 5 years ago and more. Third for him, second for Jordi Janei, and victory for Ivan Muller. And again, he closes in on the championship leader. Luca Rangoni, ditto. His gap now to Pierre-Yves Courtal's 1 solitary point. The Marseillaise rings out for our race winner, Frenchman Ivan Muller. Claims victory here. And a host of yellow shirts celebrating as the Spanish anthem rings out for the winning constructor, of course, SEAT. And this diesel engine project, which was developed in a degree of secrecy, nobody outside the company and not an awful lot inside the SEAT organisation knew a great deal about it, has really given them that extra little boost that they were lacking. Third place then for James Thompson. And wonder what the future holds for Thompson and for the N Technology Group. Could they struggle on for another season with a 156? We'll have to wait and see. Second place for Jordi Janei, and a whopping trophy. Vincere di Lotteria di Monza, or something like that in I didn't even do schoolboy Italian, my picked up in a bar Italian. Victory in the Monza lottery for Ivan Muller. He was the man who had the winning ticket, and he kept it close to his chest all the way through. Luca Rangoni as well on the top step of the podium in Monza. The Pro Team BMW squad will be very happy with that as they ease further ahead of Hexagon Engineering as well in the Yokohama Teams Trophy. So celebrating with the trophies, the drivers gather together for the photo call. That's some great looking silverware, isn't it? You see, not a little thing that's about the size of a pint glass. That's something that you have to build a new mantelpiece for. Oh, look, Luca Rangoni getting busy with the fizzy straight away. What a waste. Obviously not as nice as the bottle I was given this morning to celebrate my birthday, but I shan't be spraying that over any crowds, that's for sure. We'll be enjoying that at a later date. Thank you very much indeed for enjoying the race with us. That's the first of two, of course, today. Good catch, well held, that man. Just picked it up from the ground there, didn't they? Only just. And we're going to try and get a word with our race winner, Ivan Muller. You know, that's a long way to be dropping a heavy bottle, and yeah, clean up crew please. Possibly why we're not seeing Spanish teams in the Cricket World Cup and 2020 World Cup, but a long way down for a heavy object like that to be dropped. While we've got a moment, let me just send out best wishes from a whole host of people in the paddock to my regular partner David Leslie, who hopefully is at home in a fit enough state to be watching this today. David's suffering with a really awful virus at the moment, very nasty chest infection, certainly can't talk, can't walk, can't talk, can't drive at the moment, so feeling very incapacitated. But David, everybody here sends all their very best for you. And look forward to seeing you in Macau. Look forward to going for the season finale, whatever that brings for us. One thing is for sure, it's unlikely to be less than dramatic. Well, let's get then to our race winner, Ivan Muller.
Ivan Muller, first of all, what happened on your outlap? You were a bit late.
Yeah, I felt a big vibration on my last lap of the race, and the tire blew up 500 meters later.
So you are now second in the championship, just 4 points behind Andy Prieur. So the championship is open, more open than ever before.
Yeah, that's the particularity of this championship. Everything is open until the end. Last year at Macau, it was 8 driver in opportunity to win the championship, and here last race we thought, okay, Andy is far ahead, and it's not the case. So everything is open.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, very well taken opportunity for Ivan Muller. In the background you can hear the cars heading out for the International GT Open, which will be starting in a few minutes. We will try and catch up with our other drivers as well. Second place man, of course, Jordi Genet, the second of the Seat Leon TDIs.
Jordi Genet, you started from P2, you finished in P2, but the race was not as easy as it looks.
No, the race was really hard. We had to fight, to push like crazy. Also, the Alfa was very fast. The Chevrolet was also pushing. I had a good speed, but I wanted to help Ivan in the championship, so it was a lot of stress in that race, much more than it looked.
Did you expect this red car appearing in your rear mirrors after you had Tarquini for the most of the race behind you?
No, it was a big surprise, and suddenly, well, we had a little gap of 1 second, and in the last lap, between the problems of Ivan and the Alfa was pushing a lot, suddenly a pleasure last lap, it became a nightmare last lap. So it was very, very exciting also for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's been feeling a lot of pressure, I think, this weekend. And not just the pressure of trying to race and win, obviously, because he's been trying to support his teammate. And that can be very tricky indeed. But a good job there by Jordi Genet. And also by James Thompson, who claimed third place in the Alfa Romeo.
James Thompson, what a race. From P8 to P3 with a lot of action in between. Maybe you can describe us, how was it out there?
Pretty fast and furious, to be honest. Thoroughly enjoyed the race. We had fantastic pace yesterday alone, and unfortunately, because of the nature of this circuit, you need a great slipstream. And we missed out a little bit in qualifying, but I knew the car was going to be very strong in the race, and just didn't quite have enough laps. I think a couple more laps and it might have been a different story.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, given a couple more laps, given one more lap, and what we now know about Ivan Muller's punctures, Muller would not have won the race, and Genet then would have been desperately trying to fight off Thompson to the checkered flag. If it was a 10-lapper, what a difference that would have made. But then, if Muller hadn't retired from Sweden when he was on the right tyre, on the slick, he could have won in Sweden. He might already be our championship leader. Ifs, buts and maybes, there are so many throughout the course of a season like this. The way it was though, Seat 1 and 2, Alfa Romeo, for the first time in 5 years, not winning a race yet. Will he win race 2, or will BMW keep their 100% winning a race at Monza record alive? I have to say, I think my money is on Augusto Farfus, unless something dramatic goes wrong with his BMW. I really don't think there's a chance Alfa is going to win a race here this year. And that'll be the first time, as I said, in European or World Touring Car history, in the recent iteration of both, that has not happened. Every year up until now, one Alfa win, one BMW win. For the first time then, Seat break that mould. Maybe now the mould is completely broken. Maybe Chevrolet can take a win in race 2, courtesy of Rob Huff, who will start the race on pole. We'll have to wait and see. There's the way the championship is at the moment. Prieur leads by 4 from Ivan, by 10 from Augusto, by 15 from Jörg, by 18 from Jimmy, by 22 from Alain Menu. Don't forget, 30 points on offer, so Larini, 28 points adrift, could win it. Rob Huff is far too far away, I'm afraid. He had to win the first race, so 35 points adrift, 30 on offer. Rob Huff now out of the running, so 8th place. Top 8 drivers, mathematically, still with a chance. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of proceedings for round 19 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship 2007. Just to confirm, Seat closing the gap a little on BMW. Of course, have won the manufacturer's crown for the last 2 years in the World Championship. 19 points now, the gap. They are inching closer. But if Farfus can win race 2, maybe that will just open up a fraction more as well. That's it then for race 1. Race 2 kicks off at 3:30 Central European time. Join us for that. Until then, from Monza, goodbye for now.